morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. Missouri Republican lawmakers have advanced legislation to defund state public libraries in yet another effort to prevent real American history from being taught in their fight against so-called critical race theory. And also just been handed this note, speaking of Missouri, a Republican state senator has suggested that children aged 12 should be married. And he says he knows some who have been married at 12 and are, in his words, still married. Also, federal prosecutors said they will not be pursuing any charges in the death of Shanquella Robinson, the North Carolina Black woman who went to Mexico with her friends and after an altercation died. We'll discuss that this morning. And the Dalai Lama. We haven't talked about the Dalai Lama, but what the heck was that all about? That disgusting pedophilia type behavior. And why it seems that no prominent person except one, the one and only Cardi B, has spoken out against it. But first, Nashville commissioners have returned Justin Pearson to his seat in the Tennessee State House. We got the guys this morning to discuss, Barrington Salmon and, of course, Austin Cooper. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, Barrington, you are on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good morning.
No, we cannot have Barrington on mute.
We cannot, absolutely not.
Oh,
I think a lot of people would like to have Barrington on mute.
Oh,
no.
Barrington
can never be muted. At a certain point, the mute button will just give in.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine a world where Barrington is muted? He can't say what he thinks.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Austin cursed it into submission, right?
Exactly. I don't want to be a part of that world.
Well, guys, after Justin Pearson led thousands of a march from the National Civil Rights Museum to in Memphis to the Shelby County Administration Building, the Board of Commissioners voted to send the ousted Democrat back to the Tennessee State House of Representatives. The reinstatement comes 2 days after, of course, Nashville their council voted to reinstate Justin Jones. But there are some things, caveat with this, right? They are concerned, the Democrats there in Memphis are concerned, and Nashville for that matter, that Republicans in the State House are going to retaliate by taking some funding away, some important funding away from the cities.
Yeah. I am hoping that it's not going to be like a Pyrrhic victory. I'm hoping that but this is a little different, I think, because cockroaches love the darkness and the light is shining brightly on Republicans and what they do. For example, I was reading yesterday, had it on my Facebook page, that House Speaker Cameron Sexton, that he's coming under renewed, intense scrutiny because they're saying he doesn't live in the district he represents. And this news reporter from Nashville said on Joy Reader, one of them shows, that he has been claiming tens of thousands of dollars in reimbursements for travel when he lives in, I think he lives in Nashville, and his district is like 150 miles away. So they always say when you dig a hole for Barrington, dig one for you. And no, because there's a lot of grumbling that folks are saying that he misrepresented what he was going to do with the Justins, because he had a whole melange of other things, a whole palette of other options that he could have used outside of expulsion, but he just decided that he was going to go scorch earth. So it's going to be interesting to see. They'll be walking a little bit more carefully, I think, but they're not going to stop what they're doing.
I agree with Barrington. This is yet another example of racists, white racists using their racist behavior and not thinking through the consequences before actually, jumping out the gate with their racist behavior. They unknowingly have made international media stars of these young brothers. And to my brother Barrington's point, the it's one thing to have the the Nashville or the Tennessee, local and state media following you, but now they have New York Times, the Washington Post, they've got the Black media, they've got us. They have brought international attention to these young men and the practices, and I don't think that they're going to be able to get away with some of the nonsense that they were pulling before, because they have given these two young brothers and the white legislator also, because let's not forget her, given them a platform they did not have before. And
Yeah.
now the media attention not only going to be on these three, but also, as Barrington just said, the Secretary of State and others.
Yeah, and David Youngblood is piggybacking on what you said, Austin. These guys talking about the Justins will be known in history a lot longer than Cameron Sexton.
Absolutely. I heard someone say, fight for Justin, fight for justice. I mean, it has taken on a new life, and I'm so proud of these two young brothers in particular, and how they have stepped up to the plate and represented us so well. I mean, I don't know that they had any type of international media exposure or national media exposure, but whether they did or didn't, you can't tell, because these guys have become pros in the last week and a half.
But they said that they're ordained ministers.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay,
That gives them the type of presence that they need to give speeches and that type of thing. So I think that helps.
and this was being followed. You guys, I was just in Zambia. This was being followed in Zambia, because I had several elected officials approach me and say, what's going on with America with Trump? What's going on with America with how they're treating these legislators? So
all the way in Zambia. Look at that.
All the way in Zambia.
But that's just it, right? With all this that's been going on since the Trump years, and of course this latest stuff, this is something that has given this country not only a black eye, but hasn't it weakened this country in the eyes of the world?
Yeah, but listen now, don't be getting too insular, Stacey. This type of thing has been going on under cover of darkness for the entire time that black people have been on this continent.
Yep. Trump just helped bring it to light. You're right, President.
Unless someone in the media or somebody who was directly affected brought it out, we never knew. And I mean, it's Democrats and Republicans, but Republicans are much more egregious. And what we're seeing is the fact that, I mean, hell, they would not have a Republican supermajority if they hadn't stolen their way to that with the extreme gerrymandering and the redistricting and every other method that they've used. And they have benefited because Democrats are weak. They're weak and they're reckless and they're afraid of pushing. And I mean, even I think it's only now that you're seeing Democrats acting as if they're emboldened to say and do what they should have been doing from the beginning.
All along.
Yeah, and how long is it going to last? That's the question. How long will that? We had a discussion yesterday on the program about that stick to this. If I said that right, you know what I mean.
Yeah. You said it right.
And as you articulated, Barrington, Democrats don't seem to have that at all.
They don't. But the X factor for me is two things. If you look at the pictures, it's almost all young people, and it's a multiracial, multi-ethnic coalition of people. And I think somebody said that I think one of the Justins said that this is a time and place where the time has come. And if you talk to, like, I saw an interview with John Ray Clemens, who is the House Democratic leader, and another guy named McKenzie. And they were saying that this has been 8, 10 years, 15 years of Republicans doing this. Clemens made me laugh because he said that they kill our bills for sport. They're not. You got to understand. Well, I'm sure you understand. In general, we have to understand that what we saw in Tennessee, right, is only a precursor to what we're going to see, because we talked
about a month ago about the situation in Jackson, Mississippi,
Jackson.
where the state
Yep.
is taking over the city, the airport,
Yeah.
putting in their own policing here. So part of what's going on in Tennessee, that council that voted to reinstate Justin Jones is 40 members. Well, the Republicans have on the docket in May to cut that in half.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, in Nashville, the Republicans have a plan. They're trying to wrest control of the airport. Same situation in Jackson.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're taking the power away from a Democratic narrative.
But you know why? You know why?
Yeah.
The-
But it's going on everywhere.
No. Republicans in Nashville. The House of Representatives tried to get Nashville's leaders to agree to have the Republican National Convention there, and they told them to go to hell.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we're gonna fix you.
Exactly.
So they're trying to take the Civic Center, the Convention Center. They're trying to take the airport. There's about $340 million that they're supposed to give them for schools and other things in municipalities, and they're trying to take that too. And like you said, Stacy, they're doing this everywhere. They're like a bunch of petulant children, and they think that people are supposed to bend over and have them do whatever they want to do with no noise, no nothing. And it's a combination of them abusing their power and what I interviewed and I think I told you before, I interviewed Bill Fletcher Jr. Several times, and I interviewed him last week again, and I said to him, is this what we're seeing? Because he said that what they're doing is trying to create a neo-apartheid white minority state in this country. He said that he said everything indicates that that's what they're trying to do.
And that's what the mayor of Jackson told us.
Jackson said exactly a month ago.
Yeah. So they they understand that the policy, well, what passes for policy for them is not popular. It only benefits the donor class and the most extreme elements of the Republican, what used to be the Republican Party. So they're going to do everything they can to hold power. So we should buckle up, because this ain't going away.
Yep. And for racist, racist behavior is blind and intoxicating. Now, you would think that other racist legislators who are demonstrating, exactly this kind of behavior, but those who are being, those who are the victims, those legislators, black legislators who are the victim, don't have the microphone that these two young legislators had. And you would think, common sense would dictate that after seeing this, they would, revise their behavior, but they're not. That's what I mean by racism being blinding. So to you two brothers' point, this will be exposed. Thanks to Tennessee, will be exposed in other state legislatures.
But the question I have, Austin, is going to be exposed, but what? There's no real mechanism to do anything to fix it.
Well,
so
that and that goes to what we said earlier, and what you've said a lot on this program about the Democrats and their lack of resolve, their lack of will. And just this idea that that whole Michelle Obama mentality, and it's not knocking Michelle Obama. I understood totally. We all understood what she said and what she meant, and it was the time to say it. When she said, "When they go low, we go high." But the Democrats, as a whole, when it comes to certain battles, anyway, they refuse to get in the mud, and where that is the only place to have the fight. And win the fight.
But Stacy, I'm racking my brain to try to remember when Democrats have said that they're gonna go in the mud and fight in the mud for black people.
Well, and that's my point, right?
You won't find it.
They pick certain things that they're gonna die on the hill, right? But it's not things that
not us.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So therein lies a key problem when you talk about, we always talk about, which is the truth, right? It's always the black vote that wins.
That carries them over.
Right? It's always right?
Absolutely.
And it's always, no matter who's in office, it's always those constituents who get left behind.
Yeah.
And so it's not to sound like Ice Cube. You know, Ice Cube did that Black Plan for America that he presented to Donald Trump some years ago. But wait, here's the thing with that though. His point was missed in all of that, and so we can't. You said something, Austin, that I always say about racism and hate. It blinds you. So, but it works the other way too, right? We as a people, for the most part, except for the Candace Owens and the Ben Carsons of the world, we despise what Donald Trump was doing, right? But yet, all we were doing was saying we despise it. Ice Cube said, well, we might have to live with this guy. So let me get the best for us that I can possibly get. He made an effort.
Yeah.
So he may have been out of his league, but he made the effort that Democrats don't make.
I would never be that presumptuous to say that he's out of his league.
Right.
My issue with that was Black people in this country have too much power, but they don't know they got it.
To be marginalized, yep.
And my objection is that I'm tired of us going hat in hand to Massa to ask for crumbs from the goddamn table.
Mm-hmm.
And my but the idea that he has is very correct, because if we're not, Jesus Christ isn't coming to save us politically, and it's never going to come. Whatever relief and things that we need is never going to come from the top. It has to be a bottom up project.
Yeah.
So how do you do that, Austin? Well, Barrington, you're absolutely right. But how do we do that? We talk about the Democrats' resolve. Well, do Black people as a whole have a resolve to do that? Or maybe the better question is, do we have too many enemies within to do that?
I mean, both valid points. To me, gentlemen, the first step, not the only step, but the first step goes back to reminding the white Democratic power structure of the votes of our men, and in particular our women. And to Barrington's point, not being afraid to threaten them.
Let me stop you for 1 second. Don't mean to cut you off, but what you just said though. But here's the thing. Here's how the Democrats always come back to the Black voters. They say, so what's your alternative?
They have alternatives, because I've talked to enough Black political consultants and spoken at length about the options they offer, the programs and projects they offer. They're ignored. They're often the only Black person in the room.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. So Austin, but I'm saying though, a couple of years ago you had Biden versus Trump. Before that you had Hillary versus Trump, and it becomes where do you go? You got if you're Black, you got to go for Hillary. If you're Black, you got to go for Biden. What is the alternative? Is that? But they come back that way, Barry.
And what I don't agree with, what I don't agree with, and I hear what you're saying, and I certainly know where you're going, Barrington. I think, unfortunately for us, until we have the numbers, you have to go with the best alternative. I mean, it boils down to who was better. I mean, I had my issues with Hillary Clinton. I did. I thought she ran that campaign in an arrogant manner. I thought that she felt entitled to the presidency, just like she did in 2008. Why she lost in 2008, and why she lost again in 2016.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, to me, it still boils down to the power of the vote and working with what you have, as opposed to what you don't have. Look, if I can switch gears for a minute, there's a lot of pressure on Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat from California, 89, 90 years old. God bless her, having some serious health issues, but she has not been on the floor of the Senate in 2 months.
Yeah.
And, I think that Black voters need to demand of Governor Newsom that he appoint Barbara Lee to that seat.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
No ifs, ands. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They need to have a conversation with her. And I have all great respect for Adam Schiff, I have great respect for Congresswoman Porter. I'm forgetting her. I think her last name is Porter.
Porter.
But we need a Black woman in the United States Senate. Hell, we need we've got Cory Booker. I don't count Tim Scott. So we need a Black woman in the
Tim
United
Scott
States
busy.
Senate. And
Tim Scott
that
is busy trying
demand,
to be
yeah,
Trump's vice
exactly.
president.
That demand ought to be made.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. But here's the deal: there are enough people that I've been talking to who reject the paradigm as it currently exists.
Mhm.
And before the 2020 election, I had a number of conversations with a number of smart people who were saying perhaps the best way to wield our power as Black people is not to vote at all, so that they can see.
Mhm.
But who suffers
Yeah.
the most when you do that? I mean, I hear what you're
I-
saying, Barrington.
either
I hear
way,
what you're
Brad.
saying,
You
Barrington.
suffer either way.
But who suffered?
You suffer either
So-
way.
so-
I'd
what happens
rather
in that
suffer less.
scenario-
I'd rather suffer less.
No.
I'd rather.
Listen.
I would rather suffer less under Hillary Clinton than suffer more under Donald Trump. To me,
But
it's quite simple.
see that's the let's wait. But that's where that's the point that I was trying to make. What he just said is
No,
it's how
I agree with
Democrats-
Barrington. Absolutely. No,
That's how
absolutely.
the Democrats continue to dominate the Black vote.
Yeah,
Because and it's going to continue. You know why? Because
we don't have no
they
option,
put up
no
a
real
Ron
option.
DeSantis or a Donald Trump,
Yeah.
and Black people are going to go, we can't go that way.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't know that there's any way that we can get the true and meaningful change that we're seeking without suffering. Because at the end of the day, neither I mean, listen, and I've said it before, you talk to Black consultants, Black political consultants, and they'll tell you that they're marginalized, they're ignored. Because most of these white boys think that you don't need Black votes. And no, not true. They believe that you come to a community 2 weeks before the election,
Right.
and talk some bullshit and scare people and to get them to vote for them. They've never been interested in the long-term investment that's necessary politically in terms of organizing on the ground.
It's just like, it's just like I Barrington, your point is just like I've said about certain things that happened after George Floyd, Black companies, Black organizations, where you had all these white corporations, these white rich folks throwing money at Black businesses, Black people, Black organizations. And my qualm then was, it looks good now.
How long?
What's going to
How
happen?
long?
And here's the thing: get a long-term deal. Don't get a year. We're going to work with you for a year. We're gonna support you for a year or 6 months or whatever. At that moment in time, you had the hammer.
Yeah.
You had and it should have been okay. Here's what we're going to do. Ford, Mercedes-Benz. You want to give to you want to do something for Black folks. You want to do something with my business. Okay, this is going to be a long-term commitment. I want a contract, 10 years at least.
So Stacey,
10 years.
don't you think that some people exacted that from these corporations?
Oh, I don't think.
I
think some may have, but I don't think many. I think many missed the boat, thinking, okay, we may have gotten 10 million today. That's great. Not thinking we can get 100 million commitment long term, right?
Yeah, I mean, what numbers are there? I mean, you all may know certainly better than I, but have the numbers of white advertisers in the Black media changed?
No.
And in the almost 3 years since George Floyd died.
No.
You don't think so?
No. Listen to me.
Oh,
I don't know.
For a fact it has.
Gentlemen, if you look at the numbers as we're talking about, the spigot dried up about a year and a half after George Floyd.
That's my point.
And there's a term that they used, donor fatigue or something like that.
Yeah, but see, that's my point, Barrington. It shouldn't have come to that. Year and a half ago. It should.
And 15, 20,
should have
25.
been on paper, in ink.
Yeah.
10 years.
indefinitely.
Not,
Hell, indefinitely.
not disappear in ink, right?
Right. Give me, give me a hamburger today, and I'll eat for today. Whatever that saying was, the hamburger or whatever. But the thing about it was, you had the hammer, right?
Yeah.
Tyree Nichols situation comes along, right? And you thinking that, okay, perhaps we got another. No, those were black folks who did that. Those black guys, those black cops. They answer to a black police chief, as we mentioned yesterday. So that was different. David Youngblood said they've increased spending, but not to the point where the disparity has disappeared. And that and again, an opportunity lost again, right?
Yeah.
But we going down a whole different path.
But I would suggest, gentlemen, that the opportunities lost post George Floyd, it's presenting itself again here.
Agreed.
So I'm hoping that there are folks who are strategic and smart enough that they exact everything they can from this, because as you esteemed gentlemen have noted, every time that we talk and every time that you're on this program, this ain't going away.
No, and it's like yesterday we had a conversation, and Greer made the point afterwards. Who's getting in the foxhole with the black press?
Yep.
And that somebody made a comment yesterday, one of our guests, about what the black press used to do or used to be. And my argument was, we're still here, we're still doing those things, but nobody's in the foxhole with us.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because we are the oldest institution there.
Exactly.
There is 196 years. Who can boast that?
Yeah.
Right.
So
And
the
we
question,
still go ahead.
the question becomes, what do we do? Because Dr. John Henrik Clarke said black people have no friends. So
That was my point.
Only enemies.
So the thing for me is that, okay, this is the situation that we're in. How do we press the advantage? How do we make this work out to our advantage? I say it all the time, and people think I'm crazy. We have to shift our thinking. We have to shift our thinking. We have to. I mean, Jackie Lukeman is a fabulous journalist, friend of ours, and she's saying, she called herself radical Christian and Pan-Africanist revolutionary, and she has constantly argued that we have got to build organizations, that cater to the poor, the black, the vulnerable in ways that none of these political parties have done. And if you look at it, it's really interesting, because the struggle for the Democratic Party in 2020 was to try to make sure that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren get nowhere near the nomination, because Medicare for all, a $15 an hour living wage, and all of these things that young people, most people, but young people generally want, the Democratic Party is not willing to take that step to do that, because at the end of the day, we're still dealing with a bunch of crypto capitalists whose main thing is to get as much money as they can.
Well, Barrington, let me just say something. Bobby Henry he's texting me. He says, "Look, that was my comment. The whole foxhole."
Yeah.
So Bobby Henry is probably not going to share any more scotch with me. That's my punishment.
Thank you, Bobby.
We gotta move it along, guys. Federal investigators determined Wednesday that they don't have enough evidence, they said, to prosecute anyone in the death of Shanquella Robinson. Robinson, of course, you remember, the 25-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina, was found unresponsive at a villa in Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. Less than 24 hours earlier, she and a group of her friends had just landed for what was supposed to be a luxury vacation. They're saying, guys, no evidence, there's nothing they can do about it, and case closed.
Sounds like a cover-up, and there need to be an investigation by the I don't know, I guess it would be the Justice Department, FBI. I don't know who, but this country, and in particular this family, is owed an explanation. And by all appearances, from what I've read and seen, there is some type of a cover up on that's happening here with this the death of this young lady.
It
And she
does-
died within 24 hours of arriving, right?
yeah, but what I read about that, and I was like, well, shoot, are we not supposed to trust our lying eyes? We saw video.
Right.
There's
Right. How many
video.
times have we done that? We've been down that street.
Yeah, we saw a video. So how could you see that and claim that there's not enough evidence to bring charges? I mean, man.
Yeah, what's not surprising, unfortunately, is that it has no the Department of Justice has no urgency, no real motivation. Why? Why do you think that? Look at the picture.
Well, if she was a blonde, blue-eyed
We
girl,
know
This
why.
is my
We know
point.
why.
Look at the picture.
We know why.
they would have indicted all of Mexico.
Well, now remember that video. She was fighting with her so-called friends.
No, she wasn't fighting. They were beating the hell out of her.
Right.
She wasn't fighting because she didn't fight back.
She didn't fight back. That's right. You're good one, because you're right. She didn't.
She did not fight back. So,
And-
but it's in times like these where I believe that the family got to take matters into their own hands.
Mhm.
Since these people who claim to be law enforcement, I mean, every day we see the mockery that they make of law and order and all that foolishness, because it is very it's preferential, it's only for a certain type of people.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I were her parents or her family members, I'm going hunting.
Well, and see, this is where, Austin, I think, in a lot of cases, when they make decisions like this, they fail to put themselves in the place of the parents. Don't they, don't these, a lot of these individuals who make these decisions, don't they have children?
They
Yeah, but
do.
it's different.
I mean, almost all of them do. But until it hits home, you trend. Oftentimes folks trend to treat it differently. The same thing as I've said before on this show and with others. These mass killings. I mean, it's been 2 weeks since I've been on this show with you distinguished gentlemen, and how many mass killings have there been? And again, only until these Republican legislators start feeling it. And again, I want to preempt this by I don't wish harm and death on anybody's loved ones or family, but until it starts hitting home with the family of Mitch McConnell and Jim Jordan and Speaker McCarthy and Steve Scalise, who was shot, and still hasn't changed his position on guns.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to hit home.
Yeah,
But
to your point, the Louisville shooting, for instance, when I heard that, and forgot that Bayshore is the governor for a moment, but I heard that Beshear was the governor. When I heard that he, two of his close friends were killed. And then he's at the press conference crying. I thought, there's the moment. But then I said, no, he's Democrat.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, Stacey and Austin, Bill Lee, who is the governor of Tennessee, he has been a solid anti-gun person, and his wife's someone killed his wife. I think the one of the women that they killed at the school is his wife's best friend, and now he's talking about asking the legislature to consider background checks.
There used to be a time in politics, in American politics, where something like Paul Pelosi's situation happens, the Speaker of the House's spouse, both parties would rally around that individual. But we
Gabby
saw
Gifford in 2012 from Arizona.
Right, but we saw, particularly in the case of Pelosi, we saw such nastiness.
Callous.
Yeah.
Callous.
So it didn't move them one bit. But so here we go. Missouri Republicans have voted, right? So this goes into what you said earlier about the apartheid state that they're looking to create in America. They voted to defund all of the state's public libraries. They don't want anybody to have access to books that teach real history. And so another Republican-led state legislature is now shutting things down in another way. Now
Stacey,
they're attacking public libraries.
Stacey, the reason why they introduced this bill is because the state was banning books, and two library systems sued them
Yes,
to unban the books. That's what led to this.
yes. But you know, it still plays to their agenda.
Yeah, which is to have 350 million idiots running around this country.
Yep.
No,
I mean,
no. If you have an electorate that are critical thinkers, that I mean, God, I saw something the other day when I was doing some research for a story I did on the two Justins. What passes for an educational system in this country is obscene.
Also, Barrington is always doing research. What he had a lab over there or something?
Yeah.
He's a walking library.
I'm the sorcerer's apprentice. Listen, one of the things that I love is that when I talk to these idiots who claim to be Trump supporters, the minute that you throw some data at them, they're running like someone threw acid on them. They don't read. They don't do any research. They just parrot whatever garbage they hear.
Except whatever's being told them.
Someone saying.
Mm-hmm.
It is imperative on us, even though they live in a factless world. It's imperative on us, I believe, to have the facts so that we can show them what a bunch of idiots they are.
And you know, these folks are crazy. I mean, what's going to be next for these idiots? And don't be surprised if they do it. Ban the internet. I mean, at what point does it stop?
Yeah.
With the
they go
the ignorant behavior. At what point does it stop? And they don't have to stop.
It stops when you run them out of office, bruh. Run them out of office and make sure that they never ever come back again, because the Republican Party is not a party anymore.
It's a cult.
It's a cult.
Well, so what do you do with this guy? This Missouri Republican state senator, he suggested that children as young as 12 should be able to get married, and he's pushing legislation. His legislation is going to ban gender affirming care for minors as well. But he says, "Do you know?" This is his quote when asked about his bill that he's trying to push to get 12-year-olds eligible to be married without their parents' permission to. He says, "Do you know any kids?" He was asked, "Do you know any kids who have been married at 12?" He says, "I do." And guess what? They're still married.
He probably married.
Yeah, he's one of them. Yeah.
He's one of them, right?
He's married to a niece or nephew.
Oh my gosh! This is Mike
It's
Moon.
abysmal. It's abysmal.
There was a legislator I was reading about. I don't know if I saw it on one of these social media platforms. I believe in North Carolina. He ran for state senate, got 41% of the vote and lost, but he was just convicted in the last 72 hours for sexual relations with his own stepdaughter.
Yeah.
This is a man who ran his campaign on, morality, family morals, and was convicted for having sexual relations with his own stepdaughter for close to 6 or 7 years.
Look, Woody Allen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you read the last line of that dude, of Clay Higgins' statement? He said libraries are becoming liberal grooming centers.
Mm.
So everything that these people do, every time that they push to codify their agenda, I don't know why they're so obsessed with sex.
Yeah, how about that?
grooming children, trans, gay people.
Marjorie Taylor Greene gets on the 60 Minutes and calls Democrats pedophiles.
Yeah.
Everything is
And no
sexual when
pushback.
they arguing.
But wait. You guys have to go find the clip of her being run out of
Oh yeah, New York.
No, there was this dude that was heckling her.
Mike Rappaport.
I have to see that. I have to see
really?
that. I didn't
That
see
was
that.
Mike
I didn't see
Rappaport.
that.
Oh,
But I
man.
heard about it. I heard about it.
No, let me tell you, this dude.
And he sounded,
hammered
you're
her.
a New Yorker. He sounded like he was straight out of Brooklyn. Oh my God, it was the most classic thing. Now, you know, other than having to deal with Barrington's bad language, I don't, you know, I'm not a bad language person. But this guy is shouting. Oh, I mean, he called her
Everything.
all types of racist
Austin, you
piece
gotta
of this.
go find that clip, Austin.
And wasn't she there? I have to find it. Wasn't she there for? Because again, I was overseas. Wasn't she there for about 10 minutes?
Less than
10.
She was there for 5 minutes, and
Wow.
and they had like the throng of security around her, running her ass.
And you could see for the first time fear take over this woman. It was the most beautiful sight you can hope for.
It was sweet.
And Mike Rappaport was yelling. I mean, in the most heavy, there it is, in the most heavily Brooklyn voice you can have.
Wow. And Mayor Adams basically said, we're NYPD, we ain't Capitol Police. Don't come here with that nonsense.
Yeah.
And who was there too was Jamal Bowman.
George Santos was there.
And he was telling her the same thing. You're not welcome here. Go back to Washington.
George Santos ran away, looked like he was getting ready to start crying. Punk. Man.
Yeah. That was, you know what? New Yorkers stand up.
Hey.
And and again, it was again. I was on the motherland when on that Tuesday when he was officially indicted, and I cannot tell you the number of conversations that I had in the days preceding that, in the day of, and the day after, before I left, with politicians, cab drivers, saying, it just reminded me of how low our star has fallen on the international stage. Not that the star was always anywhere near accurate, but how far it has certainly fallen, because folks were like, here, we see our leaders or our ex-leaders go to prison. What's happening with America? And how is this man in position to be elected president again after all this?
Yeah, but I always kind of smile to myself, because America has done a masterful job in pushing the narrative that it is exceptional, that law and order and all that foolishness, which has always been a lie. But they burnish themselves with that. And I think the thing that pisses me off most of all is, think about all these countries America has invaded for doing the exact same thing that these piece of shit Republicans are doing now. Because what Republicans were doing in another country, if Republicans were doing what they're doing now in another country, America would have been preparing to invade and overthrow the government.
Barrington is like, listen, it's early in the morning, and if little kids are watching, too bad. Get them over.
Barrington, like, they should be at school anyway.
They need to be in school. They need to be in school in front of a school book. But it is comeuppance for this country, I think. Yeah. Because now people see that all of the grandiose images that they've painted about this country is not true.
But Bobby Henry says institutions of religion will be next on the chopping block for those who practice fascism. Bobby Henry is 1000% right. But then at the same time, when you see something like our next topic, you don't even care, right?
Let me interject. Bobby also just said, "Come on, Barrington, tell me how you really feel."
Listen, so guys, here's a story that's kind of flown at least under our radar. We have not really talked about this. This is horrible, and he's apologized. Really, I don't know if you call it an apology. Here's the statement. It says, His Holiness often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public and before
Oh,
cameras. He regrets the incident. This is that statement tells you that we just acknowledging that he's a pedophile, number one.
Yeah.
But you know, here's the thing too. Where's the outrage from more prominent people? You know who stood up? That girl right there, that young lady right there. She said the world is
Cardi
full
B.
of predators and parents need to teach their children about boundaries. They prey on the innocent. This is Cardi B talking. The ones who are most unknowing, our children. Predators could be our neighbors, our school teachers, even people with money, power, and our churches. Constantly talk with your kids about boundaries and what they shouldn't allow people to do. And then people went after her.
Yeah. But
Are
listen,
you kidding me?
Stacy, we in this world suffer from celebrity-itis, and we, for some reason, we're always given these people who are supposed to be our quote unquote leaders the leeway to do the types of things that they're doing. I've always had a great deal of respect for the Dalai Lama, but I'm so disappointed. And
Absolutely.
someone needs to beat his butt.
There's somebody, right?
Somebody in that young boy's family need to take him to
and then put him in prison.
No, he ain't going to prison.
No, he's not going. But listen, he needs to be. You cannot
does.
tell me he has not molested kids before.
Hey, thank you. I mean, that was not the first time, and it's probably not the last time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to be that comfortable, and whether you do it in private or in public, you know, it's disgusting.
But
And
also,
it's
And
crime.
but
But to do it in public, that just goes to show you how often this kind of stuff is being done by him.
But the thing that blows my mind is that all of a sudden, all these apologists came out of the woodwork to try to say that it's a Tibetan custom, which it may be. I haven't done the research and trying to justify it. And I was like, no.
Yeah, ain't no custom for a grown man to be sucking on the tongue of a little boy or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, that custom needs to be revised or deleted.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, never.
Nobody's ever said, "Oh, he sucked on tongues before." That's oh my God! I would take a baseball bat and say, "Suck on the baseball bat."
you see, you talk about me, right?
I know. I'm like, oh wow, Stacy, wow.
No,
I'm trying to have a serious conversation.
But Stacy's right. Stacy's right because
he's right.
We need to be protecting our children from these people.
Oh my God! I don't
Regardless
care
of who they are,
or the Grand Poobah.
Yeah.
This is just this shows you this behavior. This is not a first time thing. There's no way that's a first time thing.
Yeah.
I call it what it is. You know, as Cardi B said, you got to protect the children.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. I don't care how much power you might have, or how people revere you. You know, and oftentimes that is the lure itself. That's a trap itself.
Yeah.
Your power, your prominence is oftentimes the trap itself. And we talked a little earlier about Woody Allen. You know how he lured and trapped his little stepdaughter.
Yeah.
And aren't they still married?
And they're still married.
Who?
She's probably still
Woody Allen and his stepdaughter or daughter or whatever. They're still married.
It's married.
Yeah, she's in captivity.
But the thing for me.
What'd you say, Stacy?
She's in captivity.
She might be.
Agree. Yep.
But the thing for me.
Wait, Barrington. Before you say that, you said she might be. Ever see her face? And if you've seen her face once, you've seen how she looks like at parties. You've seen how she looks at basketball games, in social settings, and probably it's the same face that says, "Rescue me."
Yeah.
And he was never charged.
That's what
never been charged. Never ever been charged.
He's never been charged. He has gone on to live his life as if nothing happened.
Right.
With her in public.
He married her so he wouldn't have to go to jail.
So that tells me everything I need to know about us as a society.
There you go.
Because homeboy shouldn't be able to walk on the street.
Yep.
He should, like Stacey said, he should be getting a baseball bat every time he come out on the street.
Yeah.
But
This is, this type of behavior has long ago, people will, and in this case, like I said, social media, of course, is undefeated. They went in on the Dalai Lama, right? But what I'm saying is have you heard anybody of power, anybody of prominence other than Cardi B? I think Chris Evert, the tennis player, I think it was Chris Evert, who may have spoken out a little bit about this too.
Really?
But but I think this is a behavior, believe it or not. I know it's not hard to believe. I think it's been going on for a long time, right? Amongst prominent people, right? That they have no freeness of speech to talk about it.
yeah,
And so you mentioned like that Missouri senator with a 12-year-old being. This is stuff that they have been angling for, and guarantee you, this pedophilia stuff. They invite that too. They want to make that legal too.
but
And we just scratched the surface. We're just scratching the surface.
Stacey,
Yeah.
I have done a number of stories, more research again, on missing girls and women. And when you talk to the advocates and the folks who are fighting against the kidnapping of girls primarily, they say that, sorry, most of the time, the sex traffickers, what do you say?
What do you say?
Since you got a mask.
A mask.
Get him, man.
Yeah.
I have a cold. It's not any communicable disease, and you're far away anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I felt it though. I felt it.
Yeah, okay, come close.
You guys are hilarious.
So I was saying that when you talk to the advocates, they're saying that the men who want to have sex with these girls, with these women, girls, these females, want them younger and younger. So they want the prepubescent girls, the 10, 11, 12-year-old, 13-year-old girls. So it's a thing. And I mean, when
Children.
that's children. And that's the reason why Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
There were
because too many people was in that book.
There were too many prominent people in his black book.
Yep.
Doing all of this perverted stuff. And they had because when they put him in Manhattan jail or whatever, I was like in 3, 2, 1. I know they're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And the thing about you said suicide, but I'm glad you said kill him. He was killed.
Oh, he was killed. I don't believe it was suicide.
Yeah.
There's no camera footage. The guards didn't check him. I don't believe that. I don't believe
not
that.
A chance. And these so-called men who go after these children is it's a sickness, right?
Yeah.
But the other part of that is they can't. There's nothing they can do. They are so inadequate, inept, and in a lot of cases impotent.
Yep.
That's why you go after these children. They gotta be.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is that the Attorney General for the U.S. Virgin Islands, she filed suit against Jeffrey Epstein's estate, and she got fired 2 or 3 days later.
Yeah, of course.
Wow, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah. So this is all a dirty, sordid web, man.
Yep. And Grant mentions, and maybe you guys remember this, Bill Barr had to protect his father as well in that case. Yeah,
because his father was Epstein's mentor, if I remember correctly.
His mentor. Yeah, who would want to be known as Epstein's mentor? What was he mentoring him?
No. This is before all of this stuff came out. Because remember, he was Lex Wexner, the guy who founded Victoria's Secrets. He was his money manager.
Wow.
It's a sordid web, man. And the names that have been bandied around: Bill Clinton, Trump, Bill Richardson, former New Mexico governor. They talked about George Mitchell. They had all these big names.
That black book.
And then if you talk about the people that traveled on the Lolita Express, his aircraft, Bill Gates, Alan Dershowitz, Prince Andrew, all of these people.
Yeah.
So he had to die.
Yeah. You got, as the mob say, you got to go.
So where's the black book now?
That's a good question.
The judge has it.
Where is the black book?
The judge has it. The judge that tried Ghislaine Maxwell.
Was the judge in the book?
Probably. That's why he or she ain't.
That's why it's not public.
That's why it was never, because people were clamoring for them to tell us what was inside, and
Yeah.
the judge said no.
Yeah.
Because
And you see how silent Ghislaine Espy, whatever her name is, his partner, his wife, whatever
Oh,
she
yeah.
was,
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Maxwell. You see how silent she is. She ain't saying nothing.
She's not trying to die, bruh.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm. She's like, don't ask me again, because the answer is I don't know. I don't remember.
guys,
I'm pleading the fifth.
So
Yeah, listen, and I'm glad she's raised this. I was thinking about this morning. Michelle Madison has raised this. Jamie Foxx apparently suffered a stroke and
Really?
is not in the best
no.
of condition. Is the last that we've heard.
wow.
So we certainly have some thoughts for Jamie Foxx,
Well, prayers for Jamie. I had not heard
brilliant
that. Wow.
comedian, actor, singer. Jamie Foxx is hospitalized, I believe, in California. He suffered an apparent stroke. We don't have all the details, but thanks, Michelle Madison, for reminding me. I meant to mention that to Greer this morning. I'm pretty sure she probably was on top of it already, but apparently his family says he is recovering. I see the thing there from that report there. Some reports say that he, was. They call it a medical complication. Some reports that say it's a stroke. It was a stroke, and that he is, in the hospital. We don't really know his condition, other than that he had a quote medical emergency.
But the thing stays
How old is Jamie?
in his 50s.
40s, 50s. Okay.
But the thing that I always look at, like, for example, Sinbad had strokes, and when I saw the picture I was like, what in the hell? But he had like a series of strokes, and I think aneurysms.
Yeah.
And when you say stroke, man, as a stroke survivor, I can tell you that it takes years to come back. And luckily for me, they claim it was a mild stroke.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
but I mean, and when I went to the doctor, it kind of blew my mind, because she said to me, do you know what a stroke is? And I said, well, I know what it means physically. She said, when you have a stroke, a part of your brain dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of lack of oxygen, lack of blood. And she said, what happens over time is that your brain compensates. Your brain finds another part of the brain to help you to regain the faculties that you've lost. And if it's severe enough, no speech, maybe you can't walk, you have cognitive and other issues. Because I mean, I forget things.
Jamie Foxx, by the way, they say he's in Atlanta hospital, not a California hospital,
okay.
and he's 55 years old.
55.
Okay.
So hopefully it's not a
Severe.
like a damaging stroke. Hopefully it really is mild.
Yeah.
And
Barrington, we are, in all seriousness, thrilled with your recovery.
Thank you.
It was we know for you and Mimi, it was a real challenge, and in some cases, as you've expressed, I'm sure there are still some challenges, but it is good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
But I'm telling you, Mimi and I decided to start talking 2 weeks into our relationship. I had a stroke. Yep. And she stayed.
She was just too much for you.
She stayed. Yeah, she was. But I say, all praise to God and to Mimi, because
Mimi was like, Barrington was, Austin Barrington was like, hey baby, and she was like, you think you can handle me?
That was Barrington in that voice. Yeah.
Next thing I know, somebody said, did you hear Barrington had a stroke?
Hey,
like, you think you can handle
Mimi,
her whole training day thing?
You better run. You better run when you see Mimi, because
that's right. Barrington, how long has it been?
April 28th, 2017.
God bless you, man.
Went to sleep on the night of the 28th and woke up and couldn't walk.
Really?
I got up, and every time I got up, I kept on falling.
Wow.
And
Jesus,
I,
have
you know,
mercy.
felt really weird. My brain felt weird, and I didn't really think anything of it until something said to me, "You probably are having a stroke." And so I took a pen and tried to do this and couldn't do it. I couldn't press. I didn't have anything to press it to hold it. And that's when I told Mimi, we need to go to the hospital. And the woman said, you know, there's nothing that you exhibit. No plaque breaking off, no
That was my question next.
aneurysm, no blood on the brain, none of the things that are usual indicators.
The
It just happened.
symptoms.
It just happened.
So you said you couldn't grip a pen?
No.
Well, I mean, was your it was a tingling sensation? How was your
No,
hand
nothing.
feeling?
It was just numb.
Just numb.
And
Wow.
you know, the whole synapse thing, your brain is telling you to try to hold it, and your fingers aren't responding.
Wow. Wow.
So I have balance problems. I fall all the time. And you know, I have balance problems. I have periphery problems, memory problems sometimes. But I am grateful because the first 4 or 5 months, I was in a fog. Couldn't concentrate, couldn't focus, couldn't do anything. And I was like, I said to God, if this is how I'm going to live, you can take me now. Because as a journalist, I couldn't live like that. And I wouldn't know what else to do if I wasn't writing.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
but I've come back better, because now I'm writing better than I ever have in my whole life.
Wow. Well,
Amen.
that is
grateful.
great to hear.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, we joke a lot, but that is serious. And
Yeah.
we are so glad that you can say what you just said.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
Again, our thoughts go out to Jamie Foxx and his
Sure.
family. Hopefully,
Sure.
it wasn't too serious. Hopefully, he will recover quick, and we'll see him on some sort of platform again really soon, whether it be in the music studio, whether it be on in a movie or on television. That is one of the most talented individuals
Comedians,
all
actors,
of Hollywood.
everything he touches turns to gold. So wish for him a speedy and complete recovery.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, so we'll update that as we get information. Perhaps we can bring some more on that tomorrow. But Barrington, thanks again for sharing your story. And those who might be feeling something, you know, hey, a lot of times our people don't want to go to the doctor. We don't want to see our primary care doctor, or we just feel like we just don't have time. Well, let's make some time, everybody, and take care of ourselves. Yeah. So thanks for joining the Black Press's Let It Be Known, and we'll see you again tomorrow.